What's going on, guys? Welcome to the video. We got another Brexit update here, and it's relating to the Remoaners' latest attempts to try and stop Boris Johnson's bill becoming law. Before I start the video, I just want to thank everyone who has subscribed over the last few days. Since I hit 90,000 subscribers, we've had over 3,000 new subscribers in just a couple of days, who have been trying to help me reach 100,000 by the end of the month, it would seem. So thank you all very much for the help, guys. Your support is always greatly appreciated. Now, back to the video. As you will all know, the Lords have been tabling amendments applying changes to Boris Johnson's Brexit deal before it goes back before Parliament, which, last I checked, they had voted on 5 amendments being passed, ranging from unaccompanied migrants to EU citizen documentation. They are not really important because the government can just reject them, which is why I haven't bothered doing a video on them myself. But it seems the SNP, and namely Ian Blackford, have decided that the battle is not over yet, even though everyone, including many Remoaners, actually know it is. The Remoaning Independent are running an article on it today, headlining Brexit. SNP make last-ditch bid to stop Boris Johnson's EU withdrawal bill becoming law. Brexit legislation reaches final day of tortuous passage through Parliament. The Scottish National Party is making a last-ditch bid to block the bill taking the UK out of the European Union becoming law, on the final day of its passage through Parliament. SNP leader in Westminster Ian Blackford has demanded the right to attend a meeting of the Privy Council to argue the case to the Queen or a representative of the Palace that Boris Johnson's Withdrawal Agreement Act should not be given royal assent without the consent of devolved legislators in Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland. Which I'm sure many of you are already screaming that's bollocks for the same reason that I am. Royal assent is the final step which the bill must complete to pass into law, paving the way for the UK to depart from the EU on the 31st of January. After a historic parliamentary battle which saw Theresa May's withdrawal plans rejected 3 times over the course of 2019, eventually leading to her resignation as PM last July, legislation to pass Mr Johnson's similar plan has enjoyed a much smoother passage onto the statute book. Yes, because he has a majority. MPs thwarted his attempt to force it through in time for the scheduled Brexit date of the 31st of October last year, by rejecting his truncated timetable for scrutiny. But after he secured a landslide 80-seat majority for Conservatives in December general election, a revised bill was tabled within a week and has passed through both houses with a total of 11 days scrutiny, as we already know. And here it says Mr Johnson is expected to be able to use his domination of the Commons to strike out 4 House of Lords amendments, I think it's 5 now, including one on the protection of unaccompanied child refugees and the status of EU expats, with minimal resistance on Wednesday, which will likely be happening in a moment. This will leave only royal assent and ratification in the European Parliament to be completed before Brexit Day. Now, Mr Blackford is attempting to disrupt the final steps in the process by writing to Commons leader Jacob Rees-Mogg to warn him that granting assent without the legislative consent of the Scottish Parliament, Welsh and Northern Irish assemblies would represent a serious breach of the so-called Sewell Convention, which underpins the devolution settlement. By dragging Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland out of the EU against their express wishes, the Tory government is breaching the devolution settlement and trampling over democracy, said Mr Blackford. Now let's just go back over that. I don't see how he can claim it's without the consent of either of those legislators when they all agreed that they would honour the referendum result. Much like the 2014 referendum that the SNP have lost and are still complaining about. You know, the once-in-a-generation thing that told the SNP Scotland didn't want to leave the United Kingdom.
Last night, the Lords voted to reinstate the Sewell Convention, that the devolved governments must give consent to legislation that affects them. Devolution is under attack from this Tory government. Powers are being grabbed back to Westminster. There is no respect for the people of Scotland, for Wales and Northern Ireland, their governments or their decisions. Yesterday, the Welsh Assembly became the third devolved Parliament to refuse consent for the Tory Brexit bill.
Absolutely.
Why is the UK government ignoring the principle of consent for our national government?
Mr. Speaker, the Right Honourable Gentleman knows full well that it is no part or implication of the Sewell Convention to break up the oldest and most successful political union in the world.
The Minister just doesn't get it. This is an unprecedented attack. Scotland said no, and we meant it. Not only does the Prime Minister not have a legislative mandate for his bill, he doesn't. As the benches opposite Bray, it's clear that this place simply doesn't accept the reality that the Scottish Parliament speaks for the people of Scotland. The devolution settlement must be respected. Prime Minister, all three devolved parliaments and even the House of Lords have called on you to end your government's attack on devolution. Will the Prime Minister stop the attack on our Parliament?
Mr. Speaker, I agreed for a second with the Right Honourable Gentleman because he said Scotland said no and they meant it, and he was right. They said the people of Scotland said no to independence in 2014, and they meant it, and they meant it because they were told it was a once in a both by Alex Salmond and his protégé Nicola Sturgeon. They were told it was and indeed by the Right Honourable Gentleman, they were told it was a once in a generation event. And the people of Scotland did it because they know full well that £9 billion net come from the UK to Scotland. 60% of Scotland's trade is with the rest of the UK, and they know they can see the vast investments in manufacturing that come from the UK to Scotland, whether it's in Rosyth, £1.5 billion in building fantastic ships in Rosyth, or at Govan, fantastic investments in manufacturing. We support manufacturing in Scotland. They support nothing except manufacturing grievances, and they know it.
They're still moaning about that, and it would seem they're still moaning about Brexit. But making this claim that they need their consent is absolute bollocks. The United Kingdom as a whole voted to leave the EU. Mr Blackford and the rest of his SNP shitweasels can take a running jump off a short pier if they think this is going to go anywhere. And to claim that anyone's trampling over democracy when you're the SNP, who have openly, as I've said, gone against the result of 2 referendums is just ridiculous. And as I'm sure many of you are pointing out, Wales actually voted to leave the EU, so I don't know why they've included Wales in that. Just because the Assembly wants something doesn't mean shit. The people of Wales voted to leave, therefore shouldn't even be included in them discussions. Much like the Ramona Parliament we just got rid of, these assemblies are no doubt absolutely full of them. Scotland has voted against Brexit at every opportunity. Yet the UK government is determined to ignore our views, terminate our EU membership, and deny us any choice over our future. Well, Scotland might have voted for whatever it voted for, but the United Kingdom as a whole voted in the referendum, which is all that matters. Much the same as the general election. While yes, you won some seats in Scotland, you're not the biggest party in the country. Nicola Sturgeon is not the UK Prime Minister. You have no power. You are just a puppet government, as I've said many times, Ian Blackford, who thinks you're bigger than you are. A bit like John Bercow. No wonder you and him are friends. The SNP won a landslide victory at the general election. No, they didn't. They won a few Scottish seats. Last I checked, as I've said, they don't have a majority. Winning 80% of seats in Scotland on a cast iron mandate to hold an independence referendum. No, I think you'll find most of the people who voted for you just don't like the Tories or the Labour Party. A lot of them don't want independence, and certainly not your idea of independence, that's for sure. The people of Scotland must have a choice over our future, so we can remain at the heart of Europe as an equal and independent country. Well, you can't remain at the heart of Europe as an equal and independent country, you absolute idiot. And let's be honest, with your deficit and shit show of a government, you won't even get into the EU. Get real, will ya? In his letter, Mr Blackford told Mr Rees-Mogg that a majority of MPs representing Scottish seats supported an unsuccessful amendment to the Queen's speech. arguing that royal assent should not be given without the consent of the three devolved legislators. As a member of Her Majesty's Privy Council, I am formally requesting the right to attend any meeting of the Council convened for the purpose of granting royal assent to the bill, he wrote. Well, you can formally request or demand whatever you want, you worthless shitweasel. You ain't going to get it and can just take a running jump, as I've already said. I will wish to object in the strongest possible terms at the meeting to assent being given to a bill without the consent from the devolved legislators, and which enacts a decision to leave the European Union, overwhelmingly rejected by voters in Scotland in the 2016 referendum. And I'm pretty sure the Privy Council and everyone else there will tell you the vote was for the United Kingdom as a whole. It doesn't matter what Scotland voted for individually. End of story. Shut your fucking mouth. But once again, it just goes to show what delusional shitweasels the SNP and Ian Blackford really is. Demanding and requesting this and that, claiming that the Welsh Assembly's view is that of the public of Wales is incredible also, and just goes to show how deluded this shitweasel actually is, with of course the help of the Remoaners in the Welsh Assembly, going against what the people of Wales actually voted for. But it definitely does show we are reaching the end now, with all their desperate attempts to stop this, requesting to attend Privy Council meetings when he usually wouldn't, and no doubt will be rejected this time. It really does tell me they're clinging on by a thread to try and stop Brexit. I absolutely love it. But on that note guys, I am going to end the video there. As some of you will know, I have started doing live streams and uploading gaming content on my second channel. If you are interested in joining me for a chat in real time during one of my live streams, have an interest in gaming related content on YouTube, or simply want to follow me over there because you are a legend, the link to subscribe will be down in the video description and as a pinned comment. I hope to see you all there. Now as always, I want to thank our YouTube, PayPal, Patreon and Subscribe Star members for supporting the channel, along with everyone who watches my videos. Remember to let me know what you guys think down in the comments section below. Leave a like, subscribe with the notification bell and share this video as it helps the channel a lot. And I'll see you all in the next one.
There is a pattern consistent throughout history of oppressed people turning on the oppressors. Slaves against their owners, the peasantry against the feudal barons, colonies, Mr. Verhofstadt, against their empires, and that is why Britain is leaving. And it doesn't matter which language you use, we are going and we are glad to be going. We're off.
Ramon!